welcome to this health and wellness hand massage. One of the best things we can do to relieve tension is just to take care of our hands. So, you don't have to have these things, but if you have a little lotion and a pencil, or just your hands, you're going to be all set to go. Now, if you're going to use some lotion, just use a tiny little bit. Just put a little dollop on the back of your hands, rub it around. But don't make it too much. Too greasy hands are slippery. I actually tend to not like lotion when I do this. So just massage, squeeze your hands, clasp them, get them moving. Have a pencil handy if you want one, but it's not necessary. What we're going to do is we're going to press our hands down, and we use the palm of our hands to just put pressure on top of each finger and run out from the base of the hand all the way up across the hand and through the finger. You should be squeezing a little bit of blood up to the fingertips. Just be mindful of your pressure. 1 or 2 strokes down the finger works really, really well. And just gently glide along using your body weight to put some pressure on those hands. You're going to be amazed at how good this feels just doing this right here. If this is all you have time for, great. Just to let you know, you're going to flip your hand over. You're going to do the same thing on the back side. Now, this hand massage video runs for about 7 minutes for one hand, and then I'm going to encourage you to rewind, follow along again, and do the other hand. So this is a total of 15 minutes. But what you could do is just watch through the video, get some tips and techniques, and then just come up with your own mini version. So here I am, just still kind of using my palm to guide through my hands. I know you see some writing on my hands. You're like, well, it's on his hands. That'll come up later when I explain some of the pressure points. I'm flexing, I'm going across this wrist joint right here for a second. I might even massage the forearm just a little bit. You can use some squeezing or use that palm stroke going up and down a couple of times. All right, the main pressure point that I want us to focus on to start with, the main one you should do is right there in that meaty part of the thumb. And I like to do this the first time with my hand flipped over, my thumb pressing down, my fingers relaxing and softening as I squeeze further in. Don't squeeze too tight. Remember, there's a difference between sensation and pain, and we just hold it for 5-6 seconds, then flex the hands and notice your difference there. I also like to massage the meaty part of the thumb. I put my 4 fingers right there under that thigh, that section right under that thumb, and I'm just squeezing it, using some leverage with my hands, massaging that big meaty part of the thumb right there. That's your thyroid, and that's one of those glands that really controls a lot of how your body functions in there. So if you have some thyroid issues, that might be good for you. I am not an acupoint pressure person that's a specialist, but I'm just telling you what I've learned over time. I also like to grab the meaty outside of my palm. This has to do with our hips, our spleen, and our shoulders, but I actually just like to massage the outside of my hand first, and then you'll notice I tend to focus on the outer perimeter. So we're going to take our thumb, we're going to press in over that thyroid section, run it right across the base of the palm, which is the spine, up to the hip. So thyroid, spine issues across the hip right there and up to the spleen. So I just keep stroking through there a couple times, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to hold a point right here in the middle. I find a little divot right there, and I'm just going to put a little pressure there, right there to relieve tension in the spine. And then for my hip, I have hip issues. I'm definitely going to squeeze that pressure point right there for just a few seconds. And then I move up to the spleen, and then finally I'll move up to the shoulder. Just holding for just a couple seconds, just grabbing a good hunk, using the bone of that thumb to really just drive down in there. I always like to flex my hands. We're going to come across the wrist again. This is our lymphatic area right here. This is our lymph stuff. And so I like to stroke across. You'll feel the blood in your hand change because, of course, you've got some major arteries and veins kind of coming through that area. And then I like to pressure the points. There's a little dent right under your thumb, and I like to hold there. You'll find it right under the thumb. Then I come to the center, and there's another dent right there. And then finally, I find a little dent on the side of my wrist, and I really press down there. I like these 3 areas. And this is supposed to activate your lymphatic system really, really well. We've gone around the hand. We just need to go across the top side, and that's your heart and your lungs. What I like to do is use my thumb to trace between around the knuckles of each hand. So you'll feel that knuckle in right where you would get a callus. And we just use my thumb to trace around there and squeeze. You can also use a pencil for any of this. So sometimes if you just want a little bit easier pressure, I like to have the eraser. And then sometimes that gives you just a little bit of additional pressure in there, but you don't have to use it. Now you can trace the lines of your hands, your creases. You can use the pencil for that, or you can use your thumb. I'm starting with the pencil, but I'm going to switch to the thumb in just a second, just because I feel like it gives me a little bit more pressure as I do it. Actually, I stayed with the pencil on this one. And just trace those lines. You know, there's always those palm readers that are supposed to be able to read those lifelines in your life. I also like to do little minor circles right across and around my hand with that or my thumb. Just little light circles, just little massage circles all the way around in a big circle. You notice I took care of the perimeter, and now we've gone through the center and stroked the lines, and now we're just going to hold the center right there, a deep pressure point in there, and really kind of root around in there. You're going to find that spot that you know is that trigger and that release point, and just hold it really tightly. Flex and extend the hand, and now we're going to take care of our fingers. We're going to squeeze each knuckle. I usually like to do like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 circles at each knuckle, and then I squeeze the tip of the finger. And I just repeat that. Now these 2 fingers that we're massaging, the lower part has to do with ears, and when we get to the tips of these fingers, it has to do with our head and our sinuses. So these are our sinuses. So you have sinus pressure, you squeeze the 2, the pinky and the ring finger. Now this has to do with your eyes, and this tip of the finger has to do with head. So whenever you have a headache, your thumb and your first 2 fingers, squeeze the tips of those, and sometimes it gives you a little bit of a headache release. So again, the eye, and then giving it a squeeze on the end for the head. The knuckle on the thumb that you see me squeezing right now, that relieves neck stress. And then I like to massage the thumb a little bit like that. And you flex your hands. Sometimes I like to draw and trace a spiral into my hand, and then just brush the energy away. And that's just kind of getting rid of all the bad energy. That takes care of your first hand, and voila, now you're ready to switch to the other hand. So just rewind the video back from the beginning and follow along again. Thanks for joining me for this hand massage today.